Comment much on what His Excellency President Museveni said with respect to our oceans, but I believe very much that he does have a fairly great understanding with respect to the nature of our territory and the nature of our right with respect to our natural resources, and his right with respect to natural resources within Ugandan territory.
I don't think President Museveni will want to draw Uganda into yet another war soon. And of course this time now an international war.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Havana Media, your home for real Africans story. Now today's story is about the growing tension between Kenya and Uganda just after a shocking claim by Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni. He recently said that the Indian Ocean rightfully belongs to Uganda and that his country should have access to it. Yeah, you heard it. You heard that right. The Indian Ocean, which borders Kenya, Tanzania, and Somalia, is now being claimed by Uganda, a landlocked country with no coastline at all. This statement has caused a storm across East Africa.
Because Uganda, even if you wanted to build a navy, how can you build it? We don't have access to the sea. The political organization in Africa is so irrational. Some of the countries have no access to the sea. For economic purposes, but also for defense purposes, you are stuck. How do I export my products? That's why we have got endless discussion with Kenya, then this one stops, then another one comes, then the railway, the pipeline, the what, we discuss. But that ocean belongs to me. Because where is my ocean? I am entitled to that ocean. In future we are going to have wars. In the future we're going to have wars. How can you say that you are in a block of flats, that the compound belongs to only the flats on the ground floor, that the compound belongs to the whole block? All the flats are entitled to the compound.
Yeah.
There's no way you can say. So may I just go, these people, you are really endangering yourself. How can you have a situation like this? Uganda is landlocked inside here. But where is my ocean? My ocean is the Indian Ocean.
Reports from Kampala say that President Museveni has been investing in new military equipment, including naval boats, drones, and armored vehicles. He told his military leaders that Uganda must prepare for what he called territorial defense, and said Uganda cannot remain landlocked while its neighbors enjoy ocean access. Yeah, Museveni went as far as claiming that the Indian Ocean is part of Africa's shared inheritance, meaning Uganda should not be left out. Many Ugandans were surprised, but others cheered him on. However, in Kenya, this statement was not taken lightly. For example, in Nairobi, the Kenya Ministry of Foreign Affairs released an official response. The government said Kenya values peace and unity with Uganda, but Museveni's claim is false and dangerous. The ministry clearly stated that Kenya's borders are internationally recognized, and the Indian Ocean is fully within Kenyan territory. Kenya also advised to Ugandan leaders to focus on improving regional trade and development instead of spreading unnecessary tension.
I will not comment much on what His Excellency President Museveni said with respect to our oceans, but I believe very much that he does have a fairly great understanding with respect to the nature of our territory, and the nature of our right with respect to our natural resources, and his right with respect to natural resources within Ugandan territory.
Now, the message was calm but firm. Kenya will always protect every inch of its land and sea. Behind closed doors, diplomats say Kenya has contacted the East African Community and the African Union AU to help reduce the tension. And officials in Nairobi fear that if the issue is not addressed soon, it might affect regional peace and the relationship between the two nations, that is Kenya and Uganda. And now, online is always watching and waiting.
The president of Uganda, Yoweri Museveni, to come out at this particular time to specifically hint of a looming war between Uganda and Kenya to reclaim or to claim, let me say to claim what he terms as rightfully belonging to the Ugandans, then it becomes quite absurd, and I would call it deeply dangerous.
I don't think President Museveni will want to draw Uganda into yet another war soon. And of course, this time now, an international war away from the internal conflicts in Uganda. And I think Ugandans are also aware of this, and history has it that when Uganda waged war against Tanzania in 2 occasions, it suffered most during the War of Mutukula of around 1969-67, and then the Sabasaba War of 1977.
Kenyans reacted strongly. Many called Museveni's statement a distraction from Uganda's internal problems. Some even joked that if Uganda wants an ocean, they should dig one near Lake Victoria. Yeah. Others, however, warned that Museveni's military tone shouldn't be ignored. President Museveni has been in power for nearly 40 years and is known for his strong control over the military. Political analysts believe that he could be using this new ocean claim to shift attention from Uganda's economic challenges, fishing prices, and political opposition. Opposition leaders in Uganda also criticized the president. They said the government should focus on solving the country's poverty, unemployment, and inflation instead of creating imaginary border disputes. Meanwhile, in Kenya, the government assured citizens that everything is under control. A statement from the Ministry of Defense said, Kenya remains peaceful but ready to protect its borders, its land, and its ocean. Officials also added that Kenya's defense forces are fully alert and that there is no reason for panic. Also, a top Kenyan diplomat also said, we have no problem with Ugandan brothers and sisters, but no one will ever take what belongs to Kenya. These experts say this tension could test the unity of East African community, which has already been facing challenges among member states. And if the issue continues, it might slow down regional projects, trade, and even cross-border cooperation. However, many African leaders and peace advocates are urging both countries to talk and not fight. They saw Africa needs peace and partnership, not new conflicts. The people of Kenya and Uganda have lived together, traded together, and helped each other for decades, and that relationship must be protected. At the end of the day, politics should not divide nations that share the same dreams. The people of East Africa need leaders who unite them, but not those who create fear and tension. That was the story for today, story between Kenya and Uganda. What do you think about the rising tension between these two countries? Thank you for watching Havana Media, where we tell stories that matter in Africa. Please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you never miss the next story. My name is Odwor Billy, and remember, peace always wins. See you in the next video.